Loving people, we have been persuaded by some that we are careful of our safety, to take heed how we commit ourselves to armed multitudes for fear of treachery. But I do assure you, I do not desire to distrust my faithful and loving people. I am come amongst you, as you see me at this time, not for my recreation and disport, but being resolved in the midst and heat of battle, to live or die amongst you all, to lay down for my God and for my kingdom and for my people, my honor and my blood, even in the dust. I know I have the body of a weak, feeble woman, but I have the heart and stomach of a king, and of a king of England too, and think foul scorn that Parma or Spain, or any prince of Europe, should dare to invade the borders of my realm, to which, rather than any dishonor should grow on me, I myself will take up arms. I myself will be your general, judge, and rewarder of every one of your virtues in the field. Not doubting, but by your obedience to my general, by your concord in the camp, and your valor in the field, we shall shortly have a famous victory over these enemies of my God, of my kingdom, and of my people.
That time expired, they fight afresh again, and jointly meet before the Isle of Wight, where then began a fierce and greater fight. Their musket shot, discharged of either fleet, did fall like hail into the raging seas. Their crossbars flew most liberally bestowed, which brake the sides of their late battered ships, and there was cast against each other's foe. The Elizabeth, Jonas, Triumph, the White Bar, the Mare Honora, and the Victory. Arc-Raleigh, Du Repulse, Garland, War's Spite, the Mary Rose, the Bonaventure, Hope, the Lion, Rainbow, Vanguard, Non-Peril, Dreadnought, Defiance, Swift Sure, Anspatch, the Whale, the Scout, Achates, the Revenge, Drake, no more. Wherever this navy shall hereafter sail, O may it with no less success prevail. Dismiss our camp and tread a loyal march toward St. James, where, in martial order, will meet and parley our Lord Admiral. As for those ensigns, let them be safely kept, and give commandment to the Dean of Paul's. He not forget in his next learned sermon to celebrate this conquest at Paul's cross, and to the audience in our name declare our thanks to heaven in universal prayer. For though our enemies be overthrown, 'tis by the hand of heaven and not our own. One sound, a call, now loving countrymen, call. And fellow soldiers, merited thanks to all, we here dismiss you and dissolve our camp. Omnes, live long, long reign our Queen Elizabeth. Thanks, general thanks. Towards London march we to a peaceful throne. We wish no wars, yet we must guard our own exuent omnes.
According to Hayden White, narrative might well be considered a solution to a problem of general human concern, namely, the problem of how to translate knowing into telling, the problem of fashioning human experience into a form of assimilable to structures of meaning that are generally human rather than culture-specific.
So he's addressing the human need for storytelling and to fashion meaning from data.
And when James White narrates this poem, he writes this poem and he's in doing so narrating the battle between the Spanish Armada and the British. He's telling a much more embellished story than the true one because he wants people to be proud of their country. He's pushing for this particular idea behind the country and the battle.
And in addition to embellishing, he leaves out crucial information that we from other sources know to be true. So James exalts the English, and the takeaway from his poem seems to be that English victory is ordained by God, that God is on England's side, and that clearly shows some sort of storytelling driven by a bias, by a certain perspective invested in the English cause.
Hayden White writes, "What wish is enacted, what desire is gratified by the fantasy that real events are properly represented when they can be shown to display the formal coherency of a story. In the general enigma of this wish, this desire, we catch a glimpse of the cultural function, narrativizing discourse in general, an intimation of the psychological impulse behind the apparently universal need not only to narrate, but to give to the events an aspect of narrativity.
So it's much more fun to hear a story about how your country and your military were so strong, your navy was so strong and was able to battle this ridiculously strong navy that was expected to win, the Spanish Armada. It's much more interesting and fun to hear a story about that than it is to hear, oh, the weather took out a lot of their ships, and that's why you won. So I think that's sort of what Hayden White is saying, if you put it in reference to James Ask's poem, that James Ask is saying, oh, this is like, we have this great story, but Hayden White's perspective is, okay, so there is a story there, but it's maybe not as England-centered or as amazing as some might think.
So to enact a wish, as Hayden White puts it, and gratify a desire, it seems in this context the desire is for maybe a heightened sense of, what would it be? Well, exaggeration, focusing on the tangible and making the story very real, making it appealing, and the listeners or readers can be in the moment and glory in this triumph fully. More fully than if they were reading, say, an annals account or even a chronicle, that it seems that the psychological impulse that White is talking about has to do with this very human need to put fact into story form, and that this creates a kind of coherency that people can relate to.